Hey guys, my name is Batumio, and today I'm excited to say that it looks like DICE is trying to fix head glitching in Battlefield 4. This, of course, has been an issue since basically the dawn of time in first-person shooters, and especially in the Battlefield franchise. And while I'm not 100% certain what they've done so far is going to solve the problem entirely, or it's exactly what we're looking for, but I'm just thrilled that they are taking the steps to finally address and try to tackle this issue. And so the way that head glitching works in Battlefield is that when you fire your weapon, instead of the bullets flying out of the barrel like you would assume they would in real life, they actually fly out of your face. And the result of this is that as long as you can see your enemy, even though 95% of your body is behind a barrier, and in real life if you fired your rifle, it would ricochet off of that surface, because this is a video game, as long as you do have line of sight on your enemy, you're gonna have no problem with your bullets landing on your target. And this is essentially where head glitching stems from, because I know that you've experienced this, I know I have, where you come across an enemy who is abusing this mechanic to all hell. He is behind a barrier, all you can see is the tip of his forehead, you know he knows what he is doing, and because you're out in the open, it's basically a free kill for him. He's behind essentially a force field. You're gonna have to be the best shot in the history of Battlefield. You are gonna have to have the best recoil control to be able to come out of that firefight alive, and so 9 out of 10 times you lose, you're back at the spawn screen, and it sucks when those encounters occur. And so the way that DICE has tried to fix this problem is that they've lowered where your bullet is going to be flying out of your soldier. And so instead of just coming out of your eyeballs like your Cyclops, it's now going to be more where you would assume it would be. And so here's the best example that I could illustrate. I'm playing on the CTE server and I'm trying to shoot at this fence. I find this great barrier that I can hide behind. It's the perfect head glitch spot. And normally if I was playing normal Battlefield, I would fire my weapon and the fence would explode. If that was an enemy, they would be dead. I would have that perfect head glitch spot and I would be good to go. But now, since I'm playing on the CTE server and they've lowered where the bullet is flying out of my soldier, now when I take that first shot, it hits the barrier. And then when I take the next shot, you know, we're good to go. The barrier isn't there anymore and the fence, of course, explodes in front of me. My next thought, of course, and hopefully this was your thoughts as well, is how severe are these changes? Am I never going to be able to get behind a barrier and shoot at an enemy and have that tactical advantage? Is that no longer an option in Battlefield 4? And so I went around to a bunch of different barriers on a lot of different maps, and what it seems like is that as long as your neck and your head are exposed, you shouldn't have a problem with this at all. It's going to be essentially what it is right now in normal Battlefield. There really isn't any difference there. But when you have those severe head glitching spots where you are clearly taking advantage of the system, that's where you're going to hit the barrier, or that's when you're going to run into some issues. The problem with this, though, and where we might start to run into some confrontation with the Battlefield community, is that this, of course, is no longer going to be a system where you're aiming is exactly where your bullet is going to be landing. And so here, for example, I'm shooting at this green structure, I'm aiming at one of the corners, and when I pull the trigger, instead of the bullet landing exactly where my crosshairs are, it's falling a little bit lower than that. And while I do believe that at some point, a little bit further out, like if I shot at a wall like 20 meters away, I think it would land where my crosshairs are in the exact location. At least in some circumstances, this will now mean that your bullets are not going exactly where you want them to go. And while I do not think that this is going to have major implications on the way that we play Battlefield 4, like that is simply overstating things, what I do know is that in some circumstances, if an enemy does round the corner on you and they are 5 feet away, if you need to get that headshot multiplier and you aim like at the lower part of their dome piece, normally you would have gotten the headshot multiplier and you could have dropped them, but now with this new system, your bullets are landing slightly lower than you were expecting them to go, you don't get it, and then you're back at the spawn screen. Like I said, this is not going to happen very often, it's only going to be in few select scenarios, but I do know that the Battlefield community, and really anyone who plays first-person shooters, likes to have the consistency or likes to know exactly where their bullets are going to be landing, and to have it so that it's a little bit off for where your crosshair is. I know this could cause some frustration. Another system that DICE has talked about that could resolve head glitching is where if you are directly face planting a wall, your soldier will bring up his gun, no longer allowing you to fire it. This is a system that works really well in Insurgency, so if you played that game, you'll feel right at home. And the thought behind it is that if you are behind some sort of barrier that is clearly meant for head glitching, like you are abusing the system to all hell, all that is exposed is your forehead, your soldier will bring up his gun, no longer allowing you to fire at the people in front of you, and hopefully resolving the issue entirely. The problem with this though, and even though I like it, I think it would be a cool addition into the game, is that people are eventually gonna get smart, and instead of just standing directly behind an object, they're gonna scoot a little bit away from it and essentially allow them to do exactly what they are doing right now, but maybe not in prime, cover spots. They're still gonna have the head glitch, it's still gonna be there, but it's not gonna be as optimal as it was before. And so hopefully it's becoming abundantly clear why head glitching has been so difficult for developers to try to resolve in basically every first-person shooter. It's been around since the dawn of time, and this is the reason why. Every single step that you try to make to resolve the problem, there's always something that pops up that causes frustration on another aspect of the game. So it's either your bullets don't exactly land where you want them to go, or you have some problems where your soldier is, lifting up his gun at times where you don't really want it to be. And so I'd like to get your guys' take on this. Which of the two systems would you prefer DICE adding into Battlefield 4? Is there another solution that you have that would solve the problem entirely? Let me know down below. Personally, I am leaning more towards the lifting of the gun. I think that would be a great step in the right direction. But what I would much rather them just do is go through all of the maps and eliminate or make some small adjustments to the barriers that allow for these crazy head glitching spots. It's like you added these into the game, DICE. You added in these objects that are prime for these crazy head glitching, so why not lower them or raise them so it's just no longer possible? That seems, in my opinion, the best way to tackle it, because while sure, yes, you will come across those situations where people are able to take advantage of the terrain and they might be able to still abuse some of them, overall, just eliminating the objects that you have already placed in the game that are prime spots for this glitch seems like the best way to handle it. Just my 2 cents though. The last thing that I wanted to talk about in today's update is that DICE is finally improving the maneuverability on the attack helicopter. This has been something that the community has asked forever now, because while the attack helicopter does have some nice firepower, like you can kill a couple of people in one run, but as soon as the enemy gets smart and they realize the attack helicopter is in the sky, there's no chance for you to live for more than a couple of seconds. You're just too slow. You can never get out of sticky situation. A Stinger missile is flying your way. It feels like it takes about a day and a half for you to get behind cover. It seems like what they've done so far is going to resolve those problems entirely. It is now to the point where you can perform a backflip and a barrel roll in one of these bad boys. This is something you couldn't even do back in Battlefield 3. It worked back in Battlefield 2. This was something that was actually very standard back in that game. But just the fact that we now have this much maneuverability on the attack helicopter is phenomenal. I was flying around on the CTE servers, and while it was an empty server, no one was shooting at me, the helicopter is just much more agile. And so while I think only time will tell if this is the adjustment that is needed to make this vehicle more viable, at least from what I've seen so far, it's just more fun to use, it's more fun to fly around, and this is a massive leap in the right direction. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's update. I just wanted to keep you guys informed as to what is going on the CTE servers, so I hope you enjoyed. Once again, let me know what system you would prefer for the head glitching mechanics. Which system do you think would be the best way to handle things? But until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.